All right, so a couple days later, Moonclaw comes back, to Tobar's little plot or whatever he's got going there, and he's like, "Hey, I'm leaving town in a few days. I just, I'm asking again about your daughter." And Tobar's like, "No way, it's not time. Come back next year. That's all he can do." You know. So Moonclaw is not, too happy. He's got his two weird women with him, and then they take off back away out of there, And Moonclaw's wife, White Cat, she's like, oh my gosh, he's back. He wants her. And Tobar's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got till next year. All right, so a few days later, White Cat just wakes up in the middle of the night, and she's tripping. She's like, something's going on. And she looks over, and, in their little dwelling, and her daughter's not there. So she's, runs outside, starts looking around, she's running around, she sees way over a little fire, like a green fire, green light. So she starts running towards it, and it comes across the little field, and at the edge of the squash, and all the farms is she sees a little campfire, and she sees Moonclaw and his two weird women sitting there, and they're chanting. And in front, laying on the ground, is her daughter, just all prone and like comatose. And so she just, she's freaking sprinting towards it. And the fire is like greenish red and greenish weird. And, Anyway, so she picks up a rock as she's running. Big old freaking nice, cantaloupe-sized melon ball. And she comes towards them, and they don't see him. They don't see her. She just smacks him on the back of the head with that rock while he's sitting there chanting. And the other two chicks watch him, fall, and they jump up. His two women, his witches, and they look at her, and she's like, got that rock, and she's like, let's go, girls. And they just turn towards him, and they jump on him. They start ripping through his clothes and stuff. And they pull out these vials, and they pop the corks off, and they're like mist and whatever goes back inside their nose and their mouth and their ears, and there's their soul or whatever he took from them, whatever part of them, and they just take off, having reclaimed whatever was theirs. So she's standing there with the rock. He's dead. They're gone. She's like, what do I do? So she runs and gets her husband, and they decide to bury him out right on the very last row, of the squash field. So they do. Nobody says anything, and when the other people around notice that Moonclaw is gone, they don't say anything, and they're glad, he's gone, because he's a weird dude. So, time just kind of goes on, and that whole harvest is coming up, and, the plants keep growing, and everything's good. And, no one even mentions Moonclaw, because when he's gone, he's gone. And this one plant on the edge of the very edge of his field, it's growing huge, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And he's kind of trying to like hide it. He even cuts it off when it first starts getting big, and another one grows, and it's just growing big. And the other, farmers kind of take notice of this, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're blessed by the gods. This is a holy squash or gourd or whatever, and they take note of it, and he's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, just stay away, So anyways, it goes on, and no one says anything, about Moonclaw being gone, and time just goes on. And then one night, that squash is just getting bigger and bigger, and it starts to crack, and it starts to like rumble, just kind of freaking undulate and breathe, and it's acting odd, and it's cracking, and it's making weird gurgling noises inside, and soon it just like cracks open, and these claws come out, and fingers, and just nasty, covered in freaking gourd guck, and it breaks open, and this figure starts to crawl out, just, pale, hairless humanoid, just kind of reaching and clawing and scratching and, gross. All right. So then, the next morning, if you were to look into Tobar's dwelling, Tobar would be nowhere to be seen, but you would have seen Moonclaw sitting there chanting, and on each side of him was White Cat, Tobar's wife, and Gourdseed, Tobar's daughter, wearing raven feathered cloaks and ash on their faces, and hair all matted and messed up, and their heads bobbing like owls.